Let's see if deleting all those old videos, which I already either uploaded or they were like just, kind of pointless. If that has cleared up enough space that I can actually record a video. I know I need to like occasionally do that. Even if you delete it from the main page, you have to go and like, delete it from the entire device. Because I think I got through like, I'm gonna say 25 to 35 minutes, and then I looked up and like I saw that, that little like bar with the red, the red bar that, well, it would have been red, showing how many, seconds, minutes, etc. I had recorded as was 000, and then I noticed that, oh, the notification that I clicked through was just saying that I didn't have any space to record video. But I'm gonna recap quickly why I initially recorded that video. So I think I've talked in the past about having pain right around here, the last like few videos. I initially thought it was epigastric pain, but then I kind of looked into it a little bit further, and I guess that region is actually called the left hypochondriac, which is kind of funny given that, people think about, hypochondriac or hypochondria. They think about somebody claiming that they got, any major health issues when they don't actually have them. Which then kind of makes me, chuckle to myself, thinking like, oh, because for a bit there, I was thinking I had something with my pancreas or my spleen. Turns out it might be most likely is, gastritis, which, might make sense given like number of factors that have been affecting me over the last like year. I don't know if that's tied in with high blood pressure, but because I got, not to be dramatic about it, you saying I got diagnosed, it's like, you think it's something like major, like a terminal illness, but the physician's assistant told me based off the numbers that they got from my blood pressure reading that I have, hypertension, stage 2 or level 2. And I don't like to see the use of the word stage in that diagnosis or term, because it's like you think again, you hear the word stage in reference to some medical malady and you think stage like as in cancer. No, I just have extremely high blood pressure. Oh, okay, well, I mean, that's not good, but is that life-threatening? And it's like maybe long term it could cause all sorts of life-threatening, problems, but so that's why I probably think it's most likely gastritis that I got. Usually happens when I like majorly fall off the low carb diet and I just start like chowing down on carbs left and right. At least, recently, that's kind of the pattern I've noticed. Now, again, it could just be like high blood pressure and stress, and leading to maybe like added is I don't know the chain of events that would cause it to lead to like extreme or higher levels of acidity in my stomach, which might then cause inflammation of the stomach and then leading to gastritis, leading to this kind of pain. Because it's been like a burning pain where it's like right above on top of the ribs, and then I can kind of massage it away, but then it'll come back later on. And so it's like, okay, is it really the muscle? Is it something, deeper than that? But I was kind of scared of that, to put it lightly. A lot of, fear, feeling a lot of fear, because, I wanted to think, is it my pancreas? Because my mom getting pancreatic cancer, passing away from that. My sister having a severe case of pancreatitis, leading to her losing most of her pancreas and all of her spleen. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this starting to happen to me? And not to be like, I try not to be a hypochondriac. Trying not to, really trying not to. But I'm also now of the mentality that, oh, I am X years old. This couldn't happen to me. I am, too young for that. I'm too healthy for that. I'm, a health nut, I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't happen to me. There are plenty of people out there who think like that, and then, have some, life ending happen to them. But where was I? So that's what that started off with, and I started talking about like how I think one of the things that may also be a contributing factor is honestly like the loss of healthy habits. Because one of the things that got me through some really, like this long stretch of really tough times in my life was like the fact that I did a whole heck of a lot of cardio. I wasn't drinking or smoking or doing drugs. Didn't have those sorts of releases. Definitely have had a problem with fapping all my life. Probably will have a problem with it till the day I die. Sometimes I'll be better with it, sometimes I'll be worse with it. But, running at night, going for 1, 2, 3 miles, coming back drenched in sweat, slipping into bed and falling asleep, and then, getting up and showering in the morning. And, obviously it meant that I had to, eventually wash my bed sheets and my comforter because they were, caked in sweat. But that's neither here nor there. But did that for the stretch of time that I was in college, which was honestly about a decade. There are numerous reasons for that, but once I graduated and once I shifted in my thinking from where I was in college to post-college, and it's not like I didn't have like I had the historical knowledge to have a sort of context to understand like where things are at in the world now. You go and you read even the abridged version of the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. You study multiple societies and their decline and fall. Even outside like the European sphere, and then you see what's going on in this country. I got very, very obsessed with, paying off my debts, paying off all these bills, taking care of all of that, viewing things, and not to get too sidetracked, but when you're confronted by the monotony of most days in life, today's been a pretty peaceful Saturday. It's now it's close to 2 a.m. on well, I guess it's technically Sunday night at this point, but Saturday night, Sunday night. When you get confronted by that, or you like kind of look at that, and you can deal with it many different ways. Some people, probably most people, deal with it with alcohol and drugs and sex and whatnot. And honestly, like they view. I don't want to go off on some tangent about this, but because post-sexual revolution in the West in particular, sex has been turned into basically like a recreational activity for the most part, where sometimes it's used even strategically for other purposes. Sometimes people generally do have sex because they're in love and they want to have kids, and they do that thing, and they have kids. Kids result from it, but to sort of get back on topic, if you don't do that, you have to have, if you don't use those things as coping mechanisms, you got to find something else. And yeah, I started LARPing a bit, to put it lightly. It was like, oh, we're living in a neo-feudal society right now because I'm in mass amounts of debt. And I did freak the heck out when I logged into my Credit Karma account. I was like, oh my god, I'm at over 6 figures of debt. And then I really realized like what that meant. And then I had to go and factor in the debts essentially that I have that weren't listed in there because they're not credit card debt. They're not student loan debt. It's not auto loan debt. It's not mortgage debt, home loan debt, including about $7,000 of parking fines because how much they not only how much they charge you living where I'm at, but because I just honestly I couldn't. I mean, it wasn't even just the amount that they charge you. It was more like the fact that I couldn't get a parking permit for the longest time. And I had to park on the street, and it was one ticket after the next. And then you get that high up, and they can, tow your car. And it's like, okay, well, I really do need to be making payments onto this and showing that I'm making enough progress so they don't come for me like that. Because, if I lost my car, then I wouldn't be able to get to work and all like that. I have to be paying for Uber, and that would just, I did that for a time period when I was interning at this one place, and I was like, no, we're not going back to that. You know, like, you have a degree now, you have an actual, you know, adult job. Not doing that. We're not doing that. So, you know, I got obsessed with just paying that off, and this is before the pandemic. And, you know, I used to do fencing, I used to do a lot of other things, and I stopped doing those things because it was like, okay, well, let me see. You can pay, you know, yay amount of dollars. I think it was like $100 or $200, maybe, per month to go fencing. Or you could be throwing that at your parking fines, your, you know, eventually it was like credit cards, and it was, you know, student loans. And I had to work up the strategy, you know, initially with the parking fines of like clearing up enough space on my credit cards and charging that, whatever that amount was, to the, from the parking fines, and then paying that off, and then, you know, rinse and repeat until the parking fines were gone. And then I'm moving on to actual credit cards themselves, and then onto student loans. And, you know, once I started knocking that stuff out, it's the kind of thing that made me feel like a freaking adult. You know, like I was actually grown up and doing adult things, and like, you know, I'm taking charge of this and handling these things, and you see your credit score go up, and it's sort of like it becomes kind of a game, and a bit of an addicting game. But got really, you know, like pulled into that. And then the pandemic comes along, and now it's like, okay, well, you don't even have the option of saying, you know, I'm going to ease up on this whole debt payoff thing. I'm going to go have some fun. And besides, not to bring the commiserating about relationships and sexlessness and the one-eyedest girl and all that into there, I didn't really have anything. Even if I didn't have those debts and the pandemic hadn't happened, I'd be looking at it going like, okay, like, I'm making money now, but like, do I have a girlfriend to take out on a date? Do I have, you know, women I would want to date who I could, you know, be throwing, not literally throwing money at them, but throwing money at the dates with them? Do I have a relationship where it's like, hey, we gotta save up so we can get a down payment for a mortgage so we can settle down and, you know, start a family? You know, or I gotta save up money so I can pay for the wedding. You know, like, I didn't have any of that. So it was like, well, even if I had the option, I wouldn't have a reason to go be socializing. Like, yeah, it would be fun, but where is it gonna lead? I don't know. I'm too late in the game to become some Olympic fencer. So like, okay, what's the point of that? So I just became obsessed with paying off debts, and then of course the pandemic came around and, you know, shut that all down. So then it became even more like, okay, I'm not just gonna work a couple extra days every now and then. I'm gonna work like these crazy long hours, you know, 60 hours, 72 hours a week, commuting, you know, 2 hours total, 1 hour each way, pretty much. You know, all of that sort of stuff. I'm gonna do that, and throw like 98% of my income at those debts, and, you know, forget saving, you know, forget thinking about retirement. You know, like, I don't even know that's even, you know, side note, I don't even know that's even a possibility for me. I mean, I'm sure it's not really a possibility for most of my generation, which like is mind-boggling, just to see how like overnight, largely because of the decisions of one generation, and I know who we're, you know, I'm looking at, and their minions, you know, their panderers, their, you know, supporters. You know who I'm referring to if you live in, you know, if you live in the Western Hemisphere, you know, the developed world. You know who I'm referring to, but it's kind of insane to think that just that fast, and, you know, after a generation or even 2 generations before them, you know, sacrificing so much, you know, and trying to set up a better world, you know, and whatnot, and then all that just being torched overnight, pretty much. It's just like, it's a kind of insane, and it's really infuriating, particularly when you gotta deal with really entitled members of that cohort they think like they're victims and they're entitled to this, entitled to that, and they never did anything wrong, and nothing was ever their fault. And if you try and call them out for it, they want to come up with some narrative about how like you're full of crap for daring to even propose that they might have had a role in all of this. But yeah, the reasons for those good habits and socializing went away, and for a time there, I don't know how I did it. Maybe I was getting enough positive feedback from like what I was doing that I was able to like just, and maybe being at that job, and it was a good enough job where I made enough friends where it's like, okay, we kept things professional, but it was like they were work-ish friends or work friends-ish. They weren't, obviously like your coworkers aren't your friends, but it was like an enjoyable enough. We had a good rapport, let's just say, for the most part. And obviously it was contingent on me doing my job and not screwing around and, getting behind on things and screwing stuff up or, mismanaging time or whatever. But it was sort of a good thing, relatively speaking. There, I had frustrations and I had stuff that I didn't like, and, it wore me down, eventually. But, yeah, with that went those positive habits, and it's like in this struggle to reestablish that, because like I can feel the fact, and physically feel the fact that I don't have those good habits anymore, and because I don't have those good habits anymore, stuff is affecting me way worse. Stress that just I used to just run it off, and of course the struggle to lose the fat off my body to get into good shape for some reason. I don't even, sometimes I honestly like don't know why I will be so concerned about my health or my physique or my finances or my education when and I think it's a question that like has to be answered by my generation that's come after us. We honestly have to ask that question, like why, and really come up with something ourselves. In the past it was it seemed like it made more sense, like okay, you'd work up because you wanted to impress that hot girl, you wanted to win her over, if you got that V-taper physique with that six-pack, you'd be able to do that sort of stuff. And even nowadays, like it doesn't seem like that even makes a difference. Same thing with earning more money, same thing with getting educated, same thing with, it was like there was a point to having a career and being a highly educated technical professional and whatnot. And you got compensation beyond just like the added pay that even after taxes would make a difference. It was like there was a grand overarching point. And it does get frustrating to talk to anybody from the older generation. I can't talk to my grandma anymore. She's gone. I can't talk to my grandpa. He's been gone for decades. They seem like they would understand a heck of a lot more just the struggle. Like they probably wouldn't understand giving up. They probably wouldn't understand like not having faith. But they would definitely understand the struggle. But talking to like anybody from like the baby boomer generation, and to some extent maybe the older half of the Gen Xers, it's like talking to a freaking wall. Like, why do you gotta ask these questions? Why do you gotta figure these things out? Why is there such a thing as blah blah blah? Whether it's like the red pill manosphere, or whether it's so many other things that have become sort of like in the vogue among millennials and Gen Z and so on, just like terms, terminology, philosophies, books, methodologies, list goes on. Like why is that a thing? Well, because we have problems that didn't exist in your time or didn't have the same form as they had in your time, and that's why the stuff is what it is. But yeah, I think probably the only ever present reason I think I could have is that for doing any of these things. It's just that, like, you know, whether you get the girl or not, if you get overweight or obese, you're eating unhealthy, you're drinking, or you're drinking too much, smoking too much, not getting up, and going about, making sure your cardiovascular system is good, not stretching, not lifting weights, not, getting in the best shape you can, not eating healthy, not getting enough sleep, being stressed out all the time. I mean, whether you get the girl or not, like, your body's gonna give you reasons for why you should give a damn, just feeling all that pain and from the illness and so on and so forth that you'll inevitably get. Like, you're gonna wish that you hadn't just given up because, oh, this girl didn't like me or whatever. Like, you're gonna feel that pain. It's gonna be like, oh damn, like, I wish I had found a reason to care. Your body will give you reasons to care. Same thing with your finances. Like, when your money's right, you got options of things that you can go do with your time. It might not even have anything to do with that hot girl that you're thinking about, or that girl you got one-itis for. You can just go. You can go and get a gym membership. You can go swimming at the pool at the gym. You can go be lifting weights. So you can go join a sport. You can get the equipment you need to get to go hiking or fishing or hunting, or to go mountain biking, or you can go and do all those things. You can get the community to join a sport, join a sports team. You can go and buy yourself a nice video game console. You can go and get a gaming laptop or a gaming computer. There's things you can do if you have your money right. At the very least, is entertaining. And side note, the older I get, I realize that while I do appreciate video games and computer games and such, and I do want to, like, get back to that to some extent for entertainment purposes, it's almost like, for me at this age and above, I mean, it's kind of, actually, it's been like this for a while, but I really wasn't truly aware of it, or at least I never articulated it that I can remember. But I think I'm of the mindset that I would rather sort of gamify life. I would rather turn life into a game where it's sort of like, instead of going and playing a video game where you're racing, like in a mountain bike race, or you're you're playing, I don't know, let's say Legend of Zelda, and you're Link and you're climbing up a mountain, mountainside or something like that. Like, I'd much rather be out there in the world doing those activities physically, feeling that, or games where you got, like Legend of Zelda, you got to go hunting to get food a lot of times, I'd rather be doing that, or fishing or something of that nature, where it's like I'd rather have the fun or the enjoyment I would get from video games in the past, I get them from actual physical activities where I'm feeling like I'm alive, because I am, like having live time, not dead time, live time. Then when it comes to your education and your career, similar sorts of things, it's like, then you get into talk about, like, life fulfillment and legacy and so on, and it's like, why am I so obsessed with getting a master's degree in biomedical engineering? I mean, maybe it's the fact that, you see, like, if I had a wife and kids, I'd probably be getting a lot of fulfillment from that, but I'm probably not going to have a wife and kids, and it's something that, if I think about it enough, and heck, I'm thinking about it right now, I get really depressed, I get really angry, I get really frustrated, I get that sense of ennui and, like, despair, particularly since I know people who either have or are going to have that happen for them probably within the next year. I think about the one-itis girl and the guy she's with, like, he gets to have that, on top of all the other things he gets to have, and you want to tell yourself, though, it's probably not that great for them. But, the reality is, like, let's be honest, like, it probably is going as good for them as you think it is, you know. And maybe it is a cope to sort of strive after a degree and, you know, research publications and developing new technologies and getting into a much higher paying job and having a career and all that. But if I'm not going to have a wife and kids, and I'm not a homosexual, I've got to put that energy somewhere. Otherwise I'm going to go crazy and I'm not going to have a legacy. You know, I'm not going to have anything to show it when I leave this world, which is some really like tough to confront, to think like, you know, one day you're going to be gone and, you know, it'll be as if you were never here and blah blah blah. You know, like I think about my grandparents and the things that they did in their lives and moments of their lives I'll never get to know about, that, you know, I would have wanted to know about, which wouldn't have been anything like, you know, weird to know about. And that they're gone. And it's saying, you know, it's like you have these people descending upon their estates like vultures who don't give a damn about the people. They give a damn about what they can get out of them. And yeah, I'm not really going to have any of that to leave behind in all likelihood, with the way things are going. So I might as well have something else. You know, there's a reason behind, or there's a reason for doing that, which is also why I'm so defensive when it comes to people trying to get me to drop out of grad school or drop out of pursuing it, because it's not advantageous to them. They don't get to access my productivity. Yeah, it's kind of like where I'm at right now, and yeah, you know, like I feel like I had so much more to say, and then it kind of got taken away because it turned out that I didn't have space on the phone. But yeah, right now, well, I went and picked up some food. I was gonna go and get a burrito, but then I thought, oh my God, this pain that I'm feeling, could that be my pancreas? And then you're thinking, well, I can't go get a burrito because that's, you know, flour tortilla, that's a lot of carbs. I know it's technically speaking be a cheat day, so I'm gonna go and be the responsible person and get some low carb option. Now I kind of want to get the high carb option because I'm figuring this is probably like, you know, something else. It's, you know, it's not actually the epigastric region, it's the left hypochondriac region, and it's most likely gastritis or something similar. But gonna go and eat. I think I'll just drop that off at my house and then go get what I originally wanted to get before the place closes at 3 a.m. But after that, hopefully I can power through and finish up the term 1 handwork and turn that in, and then maybe go to sleep. And tomorrow's gonna be mostly finishing up some late homework, which I'm, you know, losing a lot of points on because of lateness, but I gotta get it done still. And then redoing one of my other homeworks as preparation for an exam, and then probably knocking out as much of my to-do list for getting caught up on this other class as I possibly can, so that I can narrow it down. And I want to be caught up with everything by probably like Wednesday or Thursday this week, in the midst of calling as many recruiters, applying to as many jobs as I can, you know, making as many petitions as I can to the powers that be to, you know, open doors for me so that I am not going to be unemployed much longer, for reasons that I've gone over, I think, probably a million times at this point. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this goes through and I'm able to upload it. So anyways, oh, and not to e-bag, but if folks watch these videos and they like them and they think they're, you know, they can commiserate with me, or they get something from them, you know, I always say I appreciate subscriptions and likes and all that stuff. And, you know, I'm not gonna try and deny haters to be haters, but you know, there's a certain amount of that I'll take. You know, some cases I may just delete comments, other cases I may leave them up, some cases I may delete them but still respond to them. You know, but anywho, we'll see how that goes. I've dealt with that kind of stuff in the past to a certain extent, and you know, I can always change my strategy. But anywho, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you folks around the next video. Bye bye.